André Mendonça has the chance to make history. And there are no excuses. This time, it's in his hands. At this moment, the responsibility for a new habeas corpus for President Bolsonaro is as follows. 130 million for Moraes' wife. Everything that came out about Toffoli today, and the Lula government, Lula directly also granted a benefit to Toffoli. All of this is laid out here. I'll show everything. If anything happens to President Bolsonaro, we expect André to do the right thing. The responsibility is his. I'll show everything here. Hit the like button, come be part of our family. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, leave your comments here, my friends. Before we start, I want you to take a look at this image here. You can see it's me in Adriles. Look at how big my face was. Look at the size. This other video here that I made for TikTok, I made it about 5 or 6 months ago. Look at my double chin. Look at the size of my face. Look how swollen I was. 20 kilos heavier. 20 kilos heavier. Now, I want you to take a look at this other image here. You can see it, guys. Slim Fever, this product here that I advertise on the channel, here on our channel, is official, okay? It's official. It's the place with the biggest discount because I have a partnership directly with the owner of Slim Fever. Why? It was through this little product here that I managed to lose 20 kilos. 20 kilos. I used to weigh 105 kilos, and today I'm at 85. Thanks to Slim Fever. So if you're thinking about going on a diet, we know that at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year, keep in shape. I use Slim Fever. It's a little powder, you put it in water, stir it, and it gives you that feeling of fullness, you know? And you'll be able to lose inches. If I could do it, why wouldn't you be able to as well? So it's a great product to fight obesity, to help us lose weight. The cool thing is, it's an excellent opportunity that I take. It's called Body Chow. All these results here, a few months ago, I lost 20 kilos. I'm living proof that I managed to lose weight. I made a direct deal with the Slim Firm supplier. You won't be able to buy it at our price anywhere else. Here is the best deal on the entire internet. So the link is right here, just below. Don't miss this opportunity. Let's lose weight, get slim, look good. I'm sure, look, your quality of life will change. The link is right here, just below. Look, this here is very serious. Toffoli's resort, which he now had to admit is his. He received 680,000 reais from the federal government program. Lula went there and granted 680,000 reais. As if all the benefits Toffoli had already given to his own weren't enough. Friends, now in this case Jif, then the Joser brothers, who bought his resort, he removed a 10 billion fine from these brothers who funded Lula's campaign, who had been arrested. But that's the justice in this country, the Tayaya resort. Do you know what Tayaya means in the indigenous language? He's a friend of the Father, something like that. He's a friend of the Father. As unbelievable as it may seem, that's it, he's a friend of the Father. Remember, there were reports about it, that many people were incriminated? The friend of my father's friend. Toffoli's resort is on Rua dos Laranjais. Rua do Laranjal, actually. Rua do Laranjal, you can look it up. The resort, which until 2025 belonged to Minister Dias Toffoli's company, was one of the beneficiaries of the government program that granted tax exemption. The events sector benefited, according to data from the program that the column had access to. The resort received a tax waiver of almost 1 million reais. Almost 1 million reais. It's right here, Tayaya. When Toffoli was still the owner, who is the owner? The owner, I sent it to his Joes brothers. On the website, even at the end of the year, he was there throwing a party. Metropolo revealed it. At the end of the year, he was there, brought more than 120 guests, according to the data. Tayaya, who's the friend of the father with a Portuguese name, had a waiver of 213,571 reais in Programa de Integração Social and 461,466 reais in COFINS. 2 federal taxes, 2 taxes from Lula, which were part of a waiver program for the events sector. Located in the interior of Paraná, Tayaya was owned by Madrid, which belongs to the company Toffoli, and so on. In 2021, they began to sell their stake in the business. And everything we're observing here. So, talking a lot about Dias Toffoli, who Lula appointed, the minister put the minister in this situation, that's obvious, that's obvious. Is that clear here? So, no one can say we're lying? It's him, because he has that deal with Trump. That's a fact. Look here today. Lula says Toffoli should recuse himself from the case or leave the Supreme Court to avoid contaminating the government. It's already contaminated. The guy is already contaminated. Seeing these guys talking about the case, saying Toffoli has to leave the case. No, man, no, that's not how it works. I think he'll leave the Supreme Court without being impeached, so it doesn't look worse. Lula's dissatisfaction with the court's minister increases daily, but it reached its peak when the federal police sent Fachin a report showing the exchange of messages between the minister and Daniel Vaccaro. That's the situation we're observing here. Everything here is very well laid out. It's all very well laid out. There's nowhere to run. But this here is a scandal, but it's also a scandal that 130 million reais went to Alexandre de Moraes' wife. Today on Cable News Network, I even put it here, the guy's talking, that the top lawyers usually charge from 10 to 15 million per year for a case, from 10 to 15 million. When he takes a case from Vaccaro, he charges from 10 to 15 million, the top one. Remember that Alexandre de Moraes' wife is not the top lawyer. Her main credential is being Alexandre de Moraes' wife. She's not the best lawyer. That's what the specialists themselves say, right? And 130 million in contracts, that's a scandal, just like with Dias Toffoli. But then fate wanted it this way. Right today, that André Mendonça would take over as the rapporteur for the new habeas corpus for President Bolsonaro. They're saying here that he's going to indicate that he'll release the former president. The minister was appointed as the rapporteur for the new habeas corpus, right? For President Bolsonaro. The author of the request is a lawyer from Rio de Janeiro who is not part of the president's defense team. Leonel Quimos was present, says in the document that this is a new preventive habeas corpus, and criticizes an alleged precautionary arrest of Bolsonaro. Though the captain is already serving his sentence, despite the lawyer's claims, Mendonça, appointed by former President Bolsonaro, has yet to rule on the case. Many similar requests have failed in court, but it was his decision. And here, André, you know that Bolsonaro is innocent. You know it better than anyone, even more than Fuchs. You know that Bolsonaro is innocent. Fuchs released his decision. Back then, when he was in the first panel, when Bolsonaro was completely out of Moraes' personal vendetta, he went there and declared President Bolsonaro innocent, the president and the other defendants. Now, it's up to you, André Mendonça, to make this decision. It's not up to anyone else anymore. It's up to you. If anything happens to President Bolsonaro and you don't do what's right, you know that Bolsonaro is innocent. You know very well that Bolsonaro is innocent. The responsibility, my friend, will be yours. It will be yours. There's no more time to just stand there, trying to be popular everywhere. The outrageous things Alexandre de Moraes has been doing. It's right there. Even Globo is showing Dias Toffoli. Hold on. André, are you less of a minister? Do you feel less capable? Then do what needs to be done and free our president, who hasn't committed any crime. You know very well how he was going to lead a coup d'etat without any weapons. He released all of Lula's military men, Commander, Lula's military men. He was in the United States, and this guy was trying to stage a coup. No, André, there's no more time to play around. It's about the life of a man who once believed in you, and who is innocent. Innocent. If you are really terribly evangelical, you have to do what is right. You're appealing to public opinion, See if Xandão cares about anything. So far, he hasn't explained the $180 million that his wife received in the contract. Some contract over there and such. So, it's time to separate the men from the boys because of all these atrocities. Look at Lula grilling Toffoli, but it was his government, through him, that gave 680,000 raise in tax exemption to Toffoli's resort. And we're talking about a man who's innocent. Collar is there, with all the benefits. Lula had the federal cell open. André, now you can do the right thing. You can do the right thing now. You don't have to answer to anyone. Moraes doesn't answer to anyone when he makes the most absurd decisions. Or Flávio Dino, or Cristiano Zanin, or Carmen Lucia, or Gilmar Mendes, or Fachin. No, André. Then you'll have to decide. I decided. Am I smaller than the others, or am I the same size? With all due respect, you know we care about you a lot. We really believe in your potential as a minister. You know that very well, especially because our values bring us all closer together. We are Christians. Gilmar is not a Christian. He says he's a Christian, but he's not. There was even a statue of Our Lady of Fatima at the party he threw with his wife, and all those elements from the misgovernment were there. To say that Alexandre de Moraes is a Christian, to say that I'm talking... Alexandre Moraes is a Christian. No, you are, and you know much more about the word than we do, who are Christians ourselves. But we don't have the understanding because you are a pastor. You are a pastor. And nowadays, what we are seeing logically, without generalizing, but what we are seeing from some priests. Look at the most disgusting attacks, like that guy from Nossa Senhora de Aparecida attacking Nicholas, and the other one from Minas Gerais, also attacking Nicholas. They're desperate because Lula was elected. Now, pastors are different. Totally. It was up to you, André, to you. You decided the fate of this nation, to Zanato. Even the street dogs know that Bolsonaro is innocent. Children know, the children know. I say this because this week was my boy's birthday. And he insisted, André Mendonça, that it should be about President Bolsonaro because of the injustice he's going through. For everything he's facing, he did. No, Dad, I'm sad about what the president is going through. I love Bolsonaro very much. He said this openly here, and I didn't prompt him. Look at these images. Now, the man is dealing with several health problems, and God willed that this situation would come to you so you could make a difference. History wanted you to be the difference. No, but there's no injunction, there isn't. I know that the law can't, what law, where are these guys respecting the law? André, where? So, do what needs to be done. Free our president. Because, like I said, if something happens to him, you had the chance to make a difference. Look, no one will ever forget if something happens to President Bolsonaro. For all the respect and affection we've always had for you. Imagine if President Bolsonaro's fate was in your hands.
In your hands.